will tell you something that most people over 50 feel, but almost no one says out loud. There comes a moment when your energy no longer returns on its own, and it doesn't arrive with drama or warning. It simply slips away quietly, almost politely, as if trying not to disturb your routine. There is a morning when you notice you are not tired, you are drained. A kind of fatigue that sleep doesn't fix and caffeine doesn't mask. There is an evening when you realize you are not lost. You are simply disconnected from the person you used to be. You can see fragments of who you were, but they feel distant, like an old photograph you can't quite step back into. And there is a quiet fear that whispers, what if I never feel like myself again? It's not panic, not despair, just a soft question that stays in the room with you longer than you'd like. If this resonates with you, then these next 7 days are not a routine. They are a reclamation, a slow, intentional return to yourself, a reclamation of your energy, a reclamation of your direction, a reclamation of your presence in your own life. Because after 50, something profound happens. Your body becomes honest, your mind becomes selective, and your soul refuses to negotiate. You can no longer force yourself into what drains you. You can no longer pretend that noise is clarity. You can no longer postpone the life that calls you from inside. And deep down, you know that every year after 50 is too valuable to be lived halfway. This is why the real shift begins, not when you push harder, but when you start listening differently. Listening to what your energy has been trying to say long before your mind was ready to hear it. Over the next 7 days, you will not be rebuilding a younger version of yourself. You will be restoring the wiser version that life prepared you to become. A version grounded, aware, and unafraid of choosing differently. Let us begin with day 1, the day of clearing the inner fog. Day 1 is about a single question. Where did my energy truly go? Not your years. Your energy, the real currency of life. The one that shapes everything you build, everything you feel, everything you become. Most people over 50 feel tired, not because of age, but because of emotional residue left on the weight of old disappointments. The clutter of unresolved regrets, the exhaustion of carrying roles that no longer fit, the slow leak created by relationships that drain instead of nourish. Energy does not vanish. It gets trapped. And day 1 is where you begin to release it. Not violently, not urgently, but gently, the way you would open a window in a room that has been closed for too long. So here is what you do today. You walk slowly, without your phone, for at least 10 minutes, and you observe your internal weather. Not your thoughts, your weather, the atmosphere inside you, that changes even when life on the outside looks the same. The tension in your chest, the heaviness behind your eyes, the speed of your breathing, the places in your body where your past is still hiding. Because your energy does not begin with motivation, it begins with honesty, and honesty is the first doorway back to yourself. A doorway we often avoid because it requires us to pause long enough to feel what we have been postponing. When you return from that walk, write down 3 truths you have avoided admitting. Not dramatic truths, just honest ones. The smallest truths are often the ones that reopen the pathways energy needs, because clarity is energy, and energy is direction. This is the moment when day 1 ends. The moment you stop negotiating with your own exhaustion, the moment you acknowledge that something must shift, and that the shift begins inside you, not around you. And when you sleep tonight, something subtle will shift. The fog will not fully disappear, but you will finally remember where you placed the light. A quiet remembering that tells your inner self, I am coming back. Day 2 begins with a different kind of awakening. Not the awakening of urgency, but the awakening of possibility. And possibility is the quiet engine of the second half of life. It is the reminder that you are not done. You are becoming. Tomorrow, we will rebuild the foundation of your direction. But today, you did the hardest part. You return to your inner landscape. Day 2 begins with a quiet realization. Direction is not something you find, it is something you restore. Most people over 50 do not lack purpose, they lack alignment. The spark is still there, but it is buried under years of tending to everything except your own inner compass. So, today is the restoration of that compass. not through ambition, but through recalibration. To recalibrate means to remove what bends you away from yourself. And after 50, nothing matters more than this. The direction of your life must finally match the truth of your soul. So day 2 has a single mission: to separate desire from noise, because noise steals your direction faster than age ever could. Noise is every obligation you accepted out of guilt. Noise is every role you outgrew, but kept because it was familiar. Noise is every expectation you carried to avoid disappointing others. And noise is every dream that was never yours in the first place. Desire, on the other hand, feels like gravity, quiet, steady, unmistakable. Desire pulls you home. Noise pulls you apart. So here is your task for day 2. Write down 3 things that still call you, even after all these years. Not goals, not achievements, not prestige. Callings are different. They are the threads that keep returning, even when you try to ignore them. And after 50, callings do not fade. They become louder. Because the second half of life is not about adding more, it is about returning to what matters. When you write these 3 callings, pay attention to how your body reacts. If your breathing slows, it is a calling. If your chest softens, it is a calling. If your eyes warm with recognition, it is a calling. Your body remembers the life you have not lived yet. And today, you begin listening to that memory. Notice the subtle guidance your body gives, the way it points toward the choices that feel right, even if they are unfamiliar. This listening is not a strategy. It is a remembering of what is essential, what is yours, and what you cannot ignore any longer. Now we enter day 3. The day of recovering your physical energy, because emotional clarity means little if your body is too depleted to act on it. After 50, your body stops responding to force and starts responding to rhythm. So day 3 is about restoring your rhythm, not with intensity, but with consistency. Here is your practice today. 10 minutes of slow, intentional movement, not exercise movement. Stretching your arms as if inviting space back into your life. Turning your neck gently, as if releasing stories stored in your muscles. Breathing deeply, as if reminding your lungs that life still wants to expand in you. Because energy is not created by the mind, it is created by movement. And the body of a person over 50 carries both wisdom and tension. You must release the tension to access the wisdom. As you move, notice which parts feel old and which parts feel ageless. You will discover that most of you is still ageless. That is the quiet miracle of this stage of life. The body remembers how to recover when the mind finally stops rushing. And when you finish those 10 minutes, something will shift. Not dramatic, but undeniable. You will feel a small return of vitality, a subtle awakening, a gentle rise of inner heat. This is not motivation, it is restoration. And restoration is the foundation of direction. Tomorrow, on day 4, we will rebuild the emotional foundation that shapes your decisions. But for now, breathe into this moment. Your energy is returning, piece by piece, truth by truth. Notice how each small movement, each conscious breath, reconnects you to the life you are meant to live. Allow yourself to feel the weight lifting, the tension loosening, and the quiet pulse of possibility returning. This is the path forward. Gentle, deliberate, and aligned with your inner truth. Day 2 and 3 are not separate. They are intertwined steps toward reclaiming the life you deserve. And as you rest tonight, trust that the energy you have begun to restore will carry forward into the days to come. Every step, every breath, every acknowledgement of what is yours. This is how alignment becomes lived reality. Day 4 begins with a truth most people learn too late. Your emotional foundation shapes your direction more than your plans ever will. After 50, your decisions are no longer driven by ambition. They are driven by what feels sustainable, honest, and aligned. And this is the moment when you must strengthen the ground beneath your choices. So day 4 is dedicated to emotional grounding, the art of choosing from clarity instead of habit. Habits repeat the past. Grounding restores the present. Here is the question for today. What emotions have been steering my life without my permission? For many adults over 50, the true drivers are subtle. A fear of wasting time, a fear of disappointing others, a fear of choosing wrong again. But fear cannot set direction. It can only shrink it. So the task for day 4 is simple but transformative. Name the emotion that has silently shaped most of your decisions in the last 5 years. Anxiety, resentment, guilt, loneliness, pressure. None of these emotions are wrong, but none of them deserve to be your compass. When you name the emotion, you weaken its authority. And when you weaken its authority, you reclaim your direction. Notice how naming the emotion creates a subtle shift in your posture, in your breathing, in the way your chest opens slightly to possibilities previously blocked. Feel the weight of invisible chains lifting, not all at once, but in quiet increments that your body can recognize. Now we move into day 5. The day of reclaiming your boundaries. Boundaries at 50 are not about protection. They are about preservation. You are not guarding yourself from the world. You are guarding the energy you still need for your next chapter. Because direction means little if your energy leaks through every yes you never wanted to give. So here is your practice for day 5. Say one honest no today. A gentle, respectful, grounded no. No explanations, no guilt. Just truth. Because a no that protects your energy as a yes to the life you are trying to build. And something beautiful happens after 50. People respect your boundaries more when you finally respect them yourself. Notice how saying no, even once, makes the rest of your day feel lighter. How your inner voice begins to align with the choices you know are yours alone. Now we step into day 6. The day of reclaiming momentum. Momentum after 50 is not about speed. It is about consistency. You do not need to move fast, you only need to move steadily. So, today, choose one small action that aligns with the direction you rediscovered. One email, one page, one phone call, one step. You are not rebuilding your life. You are reconnecting the threads that were always yours. Small steps do not change your future. They change your identity, and identity changes everything. Because when you start seeing yourself as someone in motion again, your energy rises to match that truth. This is why momentum is sacred at this stage of life. It reminds you that nothing is too late when your soul is still willing. Observe how each completed step reinforces a sense of capability, how even the smallest action resonates with your newly restored boundaries and emotional clarity. And now we arrive at day 7, the day of vision. Not the vision you had at 20, filled with urgency and ambition, but the vision you can only have after 50, steady, grounded, wise. A vision that feels like a promise you can finally keep. Here is the final practice of this 7-day journey. Write a single paragraph describing the life you want to walk toward, slowly, intentionally, truthfully. Not a perfect life. An aligned life. Not a life of performance, a life of presence. Because direction is not about the path, it is about the person you become as you walk. And now, with your energy grounded, your boundaries restored, and your momentum returning, you are ready to walk it. This is the completion of your 7-day reclamation, not of your life, but of your inner light. Take a moment to feel the fullness of this reclamation. The layers of fear, hesitation, and doubt peeled away, revealing a core of resilience and clarity. Imagine walking into the coming weeks carrying this light, letting it guide choices, conversations, and moments of stillness with unwavering presence. This is your inner compass reborn, subtle, powerful, and entirely yours. If this message reached you today, it's because a part of you knows you're meant for more. Not someday, but now. Then don't let it fade. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to Quantum Sage, and stay on this path of growth with us. One insight at a time, one shift at a time. Your next breakthrough is already on its way.